Welcome to Shaping Stories, a glass artist podcast. Thank you for being here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Copeland, and I have been blowing glass since 2000, so 25 years.
And where do you live?
In Pittsburg, Kansas, right in the middle of the USA.
Is that where you grew up?
No, I moved here during COVID. I
Oh.
yeah, I was born in Minnesota, but I grew up in New Mexico, and I've lived all over the country. Yeah, so
And what do you enjoy besides glass?
I love playing pool. It's my hobby, and just like the last 4 years, I've just been, it's all I do. There's not a lot to do in Pittsburg, Kansas. Um, and I loved playing pool when I was younger. So when we moved here, I started going to the pool hall and playing pool. And then I got a pool table at home, and then I got one at my shop.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fun facts. So how did you start doing glass?
Um, do you want the short answer or the long answer?
A long answer.
All right.
We
So
want it all.
when I was in college, my first year of college was the first time I bought a glass pipe, and I thought it was pretty cool. And a couple semesters later, um, I met this guy. So I bought a kiln and a pottery wheel. I was doing ceramics in college, and I bought a kiln and a pottery wheel. And then a couple days later, the guy that I bought it from, emailed me and he said, "Hey, so I know you really just wanted the wheels, so this other guy really wanted the kiln, and would you be interested in selling it to him?" So let that guy call me, and it was a glass blower. It was actually Big Mike, who was he taught a lot of people how to make pipes. So I traded him the kiln for letting me watch him blow glass for a day.
Cool.
You know, he was pretty filled up on apprentices and whatnot, so he didn't teach me to blow glass, but I buy pipes from him. We became friends, and so I became friends with a bunch of other glass blowers. Um, and it didn't work out for me to learn right then, and I actually quit, dropped out of college, moved home, got a job. A couple years later, I was visiting my friends up in Albuquerque, and they wanted, we like to go to the casino, and they wanted to go to the casino, and I was like, I'd love to go, but I have no money. And they're like, we'll loan you $50. So I made like 1,200 bucks at the casino off of borrowed money. And the next morning I bought a torch. I got some books and videos from the library, went home and started blowing glass, and invited my stepbrother Eli, uh, also known as Contrabasso, on this, minor torch. We started figuring it out.
So where were you located then?
Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Wow. And it was like book learning, self-taught situation.
Yeah, pretty much. We'd pick the brains of the couple guys that did it in town. Yeah, they were kind of helpful at times and kind of not helpful at times, but yeah, we just kind of figured it out.
And were you mostly using borosilicate making pipes?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, both of us right away started doing little sculptures and marbles and stuff. It wasn't always all about pipes, but for about 4.5, 5 years, I mostly made pipes, and the glass lamp workers discussion group was big. I mean, that's where I learned how to blow glass, and posted on glasspipes.org.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you eventually just switched out your minor and kept upgrading your stuff?
Yeah, I kept upgrading. I mean, there's a funny story about my first upgrade. The National ADEM had removable tips, and you could put different tips on it. So I ordered a bunch of supplies, and I got the package, and there was a National ADEM in the box that I didn't order.
Wow.
And Yeah. And I was like, what do I do? Do I call them and tell them? And so what I did was I called them and it didn't have any tips. So I called them and I ordered a couple tips for it. So like
A balance.
so I strapped my miner on top of that with a hose clamp, and that was my first upgrade. And then a little bit later, I got a Bethlehem PM2D, uh, and then yeah,
Did you then pursue classes from there, or did you just keep kind of being self-taught?
we had a we had a really good pipe maker come and for a weekend and work at our shop. Um, just watching him, and he would explain stuff, and then neither of us really ever took any classes. I went to a flame off, I think, in Albuquerque or Phoenix, and watched, Lewis Wilson and Mylan Townsend and all those guys doing demonstrations. Um, I guess I never officially took a class, but yeah, Mylan's book. I bought Mylan's book at that flame off, and we both just learned a bunch from that.
Were you pretty much making money off of your glass right away, or were you kind of juggling jobs to do it all?
For those first 5 years, I mean, I was 20 years old, and I lived with my mom for part of that time, and then me and Eli lived together for like a short time. So I mean, I was just making money off of glass, but it was very, very little money. Like,
Yeah.
I think my rent on that apartment was $200 a month. So
Perfect.
yeah, and it was a studio apartment, and I was blowing glass in the apartment.
Hmm. Yeah. Safety first. So then take us to where you are now.
Well, so about 5 years, 6 years in, I I wasn't. It was hard to make money, and I made sound pipes, and I kind of. I mean, I still did it a little bit, but I wasn't like trying. I wasn't going full board trying to make a living doing it. I didn't know what I was doing, honestly, and uh, my my dad, who I hadn't met before, invited me to come out to and as soon as I was there, I was like, man, maybe I could blow glass at the Renaissance Fair and do. And it took a few years, but in like 2008, I applied and got into my first Renaissance Fair, and I had like you know these little tiny squiggly dragons that looked more like worms, and I could make a mermaid, and but they let me into the show despite all that. And over the years, I just made more things, better things. Vortex marbles ended up being like the most popular thing that people liked that I was making out there. So I just started making a lot of vortex marbles. And
Wow. So the Renaissance Fair is what like kind of really honed you in to be able to find the things that people like to buy,
yeah,
the like
absolutely.
to
I mean,
make.
I was interacting with just the general public every day, and they'd ask me to make crazy things that I had no idea how to make. And, sometimes I would try and figure out new things. Um, but one of the best pieces of advice, the guy that I bought my booth from was a glass blower, and he, did, I think Classic Glass was the name of his shop. And, he did the classic clear um, coil bill stuff. But he told me, he said, make what you like to make. Don't make what the customers want you to make always, um,
Mm,
because you'll do a better job making what you want to make.
mm.
And yeah,
Did you find it easy to like talk to people and blow glass? Was that like a natural thing for you, or was there a little bit of a learning curve with that?
like doing demonstrations and
Yeah,
yeah.
like in the public.
I mean, I don't think it was really, I was never super nervous. It wasn't super hard. And definitely over the first couple years, I got, got a lot better at it, just being able to kind of be entertaining and say funny things or,
Mm-hmm.
do weird things with the glass that they would go, but I it was really hard to be focused on demonstrating all day, making a lot of stuff, and on interacting with the customers and showing them like marbles and stuff. So it was a balance. Um, and for a long time, um, I wasn't really good at demonstrating. I would do because like people's attention span, even in the early to late 2000s, I mean, they'd watch for like a couple minutes or 5 minutes, I mean,
Yeah.
so I would do quick demos. I would like to have something ready that I could just put the finishing touches on so that
Mm.
they could see something be finished. And you know what I mean? Because they weren't going to stand
Yeah.
there for half an hour and watch me.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I'm like, flame working can be slow.
It's boring. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the hot glass and flames are exciting, but only for a minute. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you're studying it for real.
all right.
Yeah. Hmm. So then you would do the Renaissance fairs and then you'd kind of go back home to your studio and just keep plugging away at things. Were you starting to sell at other places or are you just mostly selling online or?
No, I never did a whole lot online until COVID. But the Renaissance fairs, I mean, I don't know how many people are familiar with Renaissance fairs, but the big ones, there's a big Renaissance fair by every big city in the country. And
Mhm.
most of them are like 7 weekends to 9 weekends long. So by my third year, I had four different Renaissance fairs that I did. So that's, 8 months of the year that I'm at a Renaissance fair. Um, so I got a pretty good system of, a traveling studio I'd set up. I had a couple friends that started helping me make little figurines and stuff. And so
Mhm.
we would just travel around the country, blowing glass and selling stuff at Renaissance fairs. And that's pretty much exclusively been where I sold my stuff for the whole, since 2008.
Wow.
Yeah. And I ended
That's
up,
a lot being away from home and traveling and being in weird
well,
situations.
it ended up my partner and we had our first child in 2011. The road was home. We had a big
Mhm.
fifth wheel that we traveled around in and set up the studio in the carport tent. And so I ended up doing 6 shows. I'm down to 5 now, but 6 shows was 48 weekends a year.
Yeah,
So there
that's
was no
insane.
going home. We were just,
Yeah.
yeah,
What does your partner think about glass?
she's done it a few times over the years, but um, it's not her thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And she could care less about Vortex marbles at this point. So
I bet. I bet. Yeah.
like, look at this new technique I figured out. She's like, looks like a marble to me.
Like, good job. So proud.
I sold it for $4,000. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, right. There you go. So you found your like niche and then so how do you feel like what you do it fits in with the pipe world because you're still working the same material, but do you feel like you're like kind of in and out of it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not really part of the pipe world, but except for, I mean, I like to go to shows and hang out with the people. And,
Yeah. It's
like I
the same
met you.
material,
No,
but
I mean, every now and then I make one for a friend or family or myself or something. But um, I, what happened with the pipe world over the last 15 years? I was jealous of them, but I was making a great living doing my thing, and they were jealous of me too. I'm sure, like,
Mhm.
but I was, the skills that they've got and the amazing stuff they make. I'm just like, especially people like my stepbrother Eli and all of the great pipe makers. I'm like, damn, they're good. I wish I
Yeah.
could do that.
Yeah. Do you only exclusively work Boro?
Yeah, I've done soft glass. like mandrel beads once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got in my shop here, I've got a bead maker. And I'm like, I should go over there and try it out sometime. I haven't,
Yeah, there's not
haven't
enough
had the
time.
time.
Yeah. So now you said you're still doing some Renaissance fairs and you do some other shows. Can you talk about what your life looks like now and maybe what your studio looks like?
Yeah, so I'm down to 4 shows, but I had a really good crew, and after COVID, I ended up where I've got 5 shows. I only had to personally go to one of them, and my crew would run the other ones.
Mm.
So we bought a house in Pittsburgh, and um, we got certified to be foster parents because we weren't having luck having another child. And then I'd go to the Maryland Renaissance Festival, is the one that I do personally every year. Um, and then we got pregnant and had another baby, who's only 8 months old right now.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I
Yeah.
know, and we're like mid upper 40s, so it's kind of crazy. Um, I bought this building in 2022 and renovated it. It had been abandoned for a long time, so it was a pretty big space. And I immediately, like, I'd done ceramics in college, and I knew there was this ceramic artist in town that was looking for space. So I teamed up with her, and she put in a ceramic studio with a teaching space, and I had this other glass worker that does the beads come in, um, and I put in a big pool table. So the studio is. Do you want a quick? Do you want me to do a?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's see. Like, here's my work area that's very messy, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the back area. Big ceramic kiln, and then
Mm.
the front area. Let's see if I can get all the way over there. Can you?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really.
Oh, it's so pretty.
She made the space like I never would have made it that cute. I definitely needed a
Yeah.
girl's touch in the space.
Yeah. A little bit of feminine there. So how far away is that from your home?
Like a 5 minute drive.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's a small town, so everything is 5 minutes away.
Is it open to the public? Do people just kind of stop by or?
Yeah, a little bit. Um, there's not a ton of foot traffic, but people come by. And Sylvia teaches like 4 or 5 classes a week, so and so lots of people have come in, and people do stop in sometimes. She makes really cool stuff, so just like her clients will just come by and see what she's got available. But I don't really do any retail out of here at all. So
Like I was wondering because the work that you do must take some time. So like what happens if you're in the middle of something and then people come over? Do you just kind of
it's
like
kind of
balance
like, say
that?
hi,
Yeah. Like
turn
I'm
back
really in
around.
the middle of a really expensive marble right now.
I had a I had a 6 inch marble on the lathe, and I'm like in the last hour of it. This is like a 2 or 3 day. I don't do those big marbles in one day. It's too much. Some of the other people that make giant marbles might think that's crazy that but anyways, yeah, I'm like full, going on this marble, and these people come in and they just want to talk to me. And I'm trying to be nice and
That's
talk
what
to
I'm
them,
wondering. It's
but
so
it's
hard.
it's the most intense part. That last little bit is like you can't mess up, and so that can be frustrating, but it doesn't happen very often. So
Yeah, yeah. That's like that can be the hardest part about sharing space is like sometimes I just want to put a sign on like I'm concentrating, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm really sorry.
yeah,
You can watch, but I can't talk and do this right. Yeah. So when you have So do you mostly work on, how do you come up with the projects that you're working on? Do you have a list of things that you're doing?
Never made a list in my life. I'm
You
really
just kind of wing it as you're like feeling inspired.
kind of, yeah, I try to make what I know will sell. So having, being in the booth and selling the stuff, I would know what had sold all weekend, so I would like remake or, refill those spots. Um, but to, on a daily basis, especially now that I'm not always at the fairs, it's hard to, it's hard to decide what to make sometimes for sure. I wish I was more organized and
Mhm.
had lists. Sometimes I'll plan out the day before, be like, all right, tomorrow I've got, and that's the best when I know, like when I come in and I know what I'm gonna make. But um, it's kind of rare actually. I show up and play a game on my phone and what am I gonna make? And then I'll be like, okay, that's what I'm gonna make. And yeah, I'm pretty scatterbrained on that.
And do you keep regular hours at the shop, or do you kind of find that you, especially with your family at home with the young baby, right? Are
I'm
you able to
pretty,
like sleep at night, wake up regularly?
yeah. Uh, I try to keep pretty regular hours. Just work during the, regular during the day, come in early and work until 3 or 4, and then go hang out with the family afterwards. And pretty much just 5 days a week. Most, I try to make enough time for family, doing that
Mhm.
stuff. I've never been a work all night. I mean, sometimes, but not usually. Just yeah, plug away.
Do you ever like find that you're in a slump and that you are
all,
uninspired or you're like, what am I even doing anymore?
all the time. Yeah. I mean, uh, yeah, those slumps they're hard, when you just don't want to do it. It can be tough, but I've for me the what gets me out of it is just make some stuff because I'm gonna feel better when I pull it out of the kiln,
Mm.
and I might be like, oh, I should do this instead of that, and so that'll get the ideas flowing and get the motivation back. It's tough though. I mean, 25 years of making these glass balls can get kind of monotonous.
Yeah, yeah. Can you visualize in your head how things are going to turn out? Are you like a visual person? Because you said you're not really like a list person.
Yeah, yeah. If I have an idea, it's usually like it is like like a visual. Like I'm like, oh, I could make it look like this, and then how do I do that? And yeah, oh, having done it so long, I can visualize what I want to make and think about how I'm going to get it done, and I can make it, and it comes out how I thought it would, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I know when you hit that point where it actually comes out the way you want. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have been doing this for a while. I get that. Um,
So I love my job and I love making this stuff. Um, um, I real quick, I got an opportunity recently to possibly uh, buy the local pool hall in town, and I'm pursuing that possibility. And it's been really exciting and really stressful. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, okay, I love making these glass balls that are this big, and I love hitting these balls around a table that are this big.
yeah.
Uh, so it's exciting to maybe, I'm not going to quit doing glass, but to maybe focus on something else a little bit, split my
Mm.
focus and time to uh, do something else. Maybe we'll see how it goes. It's nothing's signed or anything yet, so.
But that sounds cool because it sounds like you've got a good handle on managing the Renaissance fairs running without you, right? And your studio has its income built in, right? So it
Yeah,
makes sense. That's cool.
yeah. Thanks. I'm
Cross their
excited.
fingers for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We'll see. It might be the craziest, dumbest thing I ever thought of, but
You
you
gotta,
never know, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
yeah, you gotta try it. Yeah, you'll never know unless you do it. So we went over all the questions that I like to ask. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to share or if you have final words of wisdom.
I'd say if I had some advice for people that are like struggling, selling stuff, I'd say you just got to get out there and get people's eyes on your stuff. Don't rely on social media. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Go to your local markets, your local fairs, festivals. Just make stuff and go show it to people, and you'll probably sell some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good advice. Get off the internet. And can you tell people where to find you on the internet though?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram is Matt Glasser, and
Mhm.
that's where I post most of my glass. And in real life, you could find me at the Arizona Renaissance Festival, the Colorado Renaissance Festival, Minnesota, Maryland, and the Texas Renaissance Festival.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's
Kind of
pretty
hot
cool.
everywhere you do that, huh?
Well, we go in the right time of year for each spot.
Yeah.
I'm in Arizona in February, March,
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Texas in October and November, so so yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
circuit follows the seasons.
Cool. Hmm.
Thanks for inviting me to do this, or I
Thank
guess,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's cool to like learn more about you. Cool. I'll see you in the
Cool.
morning.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much for listening to Shaping Stories. If you like our podcast, please make sure to follow on whatever platform you're listening on. We are always grateful for your reviews to help other artists find us. You can find us on Shaping Stories Pod on Facebook and Instagram. And please make sure to support this artist that we interviewed today. It's a lot of guts to come on here, and we appreciate them being vulnerable and sharing, and especially for their very valuable time. If you know somebody that might like to be interviewed, or you might like to be interviewed yourself, I would love that. Please send an email over to me to dom@terrapinglass.com. I really look forward to seeing you, and I can't wait to continue with this project.